What's up, y'all? And welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I'm your host, Robert, and today we're going to be talking about a webtoon called A Man's Man. Now, this series, like I said, it's a webtoon, so it is currently available for free on either the Webtoon website or the Webtoon app that you can get on your mobile device. And so pretty much this series follows our main character, which I'll probably butcher his name, but Yu Yeon, who becomes the youngest CEO in the company history. But it wasn't a pretty road to get to that position. And so after something tragic happens to a colleague, he ends up going on just like this binger, just drinking all night, reflecting on things, and then when he wakes up the next morning, he is 20 years in the past in his younger body, basically in the lead up to him joining the company. And that is kind of the main focus of this series. So we follow our main character, like I said, from pretty much from a little bit before he joins through, going forward. And so, there's no supernatural powers and all this stuff, whatever, that's going on. It is it's a pretty grounded series. And the company he works at is a tech company, and the time frame, this is basically like around like the early 2000s, basically in the lead up to the big smartphone boom. And so there's a lot of references for people of my generation who, because I'm in my early 30s, and I also work in IT, so this kind of like double caught my interest. And so, which I got to give a shout out to Deb Aoki on Twitter, because she is the one that put it on my radar a few days ago, and I binge read the whole thing over the weekend, or everything that is currently released, I should say, because there is 67 chapters available for free. But I enjoyed it so much, I spent a few bucks and fast passed to the next 5 chapters. So I'm currently, as of the time of this coming out, I'm currently up to chapter 72. So like I said, with the time frame or whatever, with it being like around like the time of smartphones and stuff being developed or about to come into fruition, we kind of get to see our main character in twofold, kind of like get to correct some of his past regrets and things of that nature, but also help his company and his core team that he is on. Because the team that he's on within the company, I believe it's like a planning team, but a lot of other teams in the company kind of see them as like bottom of the barrel. Their job is to kind of like help everybody else with their work, but that's not how it's supposed to be. But that's kind of how things have devolved over time. And so, one thing that I really enjoy about this series is kind of like the core theme that comes up multiple times, because you'll see the main character constantly say, I have my people. And the dope thing about that, because like I said, in the past, or in the previous timeline, leading up to him becoming CEO, he neglected his wife. He turned his back on his sister, who was in a very abusive relationship that didn't end well, when she needed him the most. And lots of friends and colleagues along the way, he kind of threw to the wayside, or he didn't treasure those bonds and those relationships. And so now, with him also having the 20 years of knowledge in the company going back, is kind of his chance to kind of like redeem himself and correct some of these things along the way. And one of the characters that I really enjoy a lot is his basically it's the assistant manager of his team, who is his mentor, that takes on the role of kind of like trying to teach and train him. And the main character, makes sure to stay loyal and supportive of his mentor because he remembers previously, he kind of got done dirty and ended up being, leaving the company or whatever. And speaking of which, like his core little team that he's on, after a couple of years of him joining, they end up dissolving, and a lot of them are no longer with the company. So this is kind of like his chance to kind of like rally his team together. And I enjoyed that. I've been enjoying that journey of seeing him slowly awaken the different members of his team from his mentor to the actual team lead and everybody along the way. But of course, through this series or whatever, and with it being a tech company and stuff, there's also a lot of corporate politics along the way. And so a dope thing that I enjoy seeing over and over is just like him mentally navigating his way through different conversations, through various situations. Because, of course, like I said, that this is a more grounded series, so you're not going to be dealing with a lot of like, oh, they settle this with their fists and stuff. Not saying that there isn't any, fighting and action and stuff, but that's not the crux of it. But I will say, he does end up getting into boxing and stuff, whatever, as a way to both keep himself in shape, but also kind of help deal with a situation that he knows is coming from his previous life that he lived. Um, but yeah, like I said, him, I enjoy that he is taking this chance to kind of like be kind to other people, and that kindness comes back to him tenfold. Because prime example is he ended up helping out one of the custodian ladies or people that was like trying to refill the giant like water jugs in the break room, and they were about to just drop it and hurt themselves. He saves them, and then from that point forward, he keeps in contact with them. He checks on with that group because a lot of times, and we all know this was like custodian staff, janitors, and stuff like that, or whatever. A lot of times at the companies, they don't get the attention and recognition that they deserve for the hard work that they do behind the scenes, keeping things clean and going. And so he does that. He keeps up with them. He makes sure that they're good. And so there was a situation later on where one of the ladies was in the area cleaning, and she overheard a executive having a conversation that directly would have affected him. And so she comes back and she's like, "Hey, I overheard executive so and so mention this," and little things like that. While yes, he has some knowledge of certain things that happen, but things eventually get to a point to where like the timeline branches, and he ends up kind of starting to deal with more situations that he wasn't in previously. So it's like, okay, so he has corporate knowledge, but he still also needs some help along the way to kind of like help navigate some of these corporate politics. But I enjoy the mind games and stuff. I enjoy him being courteous with people and stuff, and kind of positioning himself and those around him for success both in the near future as well as down the road. Because there was another guy that he met from college that kind of came up to their company or whatever, and was trying to get the attention of some of the executives that was coming back in from lunch, but they was like, "Dude, get out of here. We don't want whatever you're trying to pitch to us or whatever. Be gone." Well, the guy sees him, was like, "Hey, you remember me from college?" And he remembers in the past he turned him away. So he brought him in, they sat down, they talked for a minute or whatever, and kind of found out this guy was from a up and coming other little tech company that was working on some displays and some other stuff that would later be critical to a project that they were working on later on in the series and stuff. So, but yeah, like I said, it has been a fun read overall. Like I said, nothing super crazy. The art and stuff is pretty solid as well in the series. Well, the art is pretty solid. Like I said, I didn't have any problems with it and stuff. And another kind of funny thing too. Of course, probably for like copyright reasons and stuff, whatever. But like, if you know, you know, but a lot of like different tech companies and stuff, whatever, like Microsoft, they call Macrosoft. Like instead of like Samsung, this is Hansung. Apple is still Apple, but it's got like two P's. So little stuff like that, or whatever, I just found kind of funny along the way. But yeah, but overall, like I said, it's been like a pretty solid and enjoyable series to read. And like I said, I know some people were like, "Oh, this is so slow," or whatever. But I feel like, man, maybe it's because I got to binge read like 70 some chapters in a couple of days. But I enjoyed it, you know, because I don't know. Like I said, I just enjoy that we got a chance to kind of see the characters around him, and like I said, to kind of get to see like the mental process he goes through for navigating some of these situations that he finds himself in. And I also like that we kind of get to see like the older version of himself kind of talking to his younger self, kind of being like, okay, hey, how are we going to handle this situation now? And just kind of like that dynamic going on and stuff. So, but yeah, like I said, if you have any interest in, like I said, a series that is a little bit more down to earth, but also kind of goes through, like I said, a character kind of getting to like trying to correct mistakes of the past, but also going through this tech boom and stuff, whatever, then A Man's Man is definitely something that I would highly recommend. Like I said, it is available on Webtoon for free to read. So yeah, so go check that out. And side note before I go, I just gotta mention also I came across this other series while I was looking for other people to talk to about A Man's Man, but another series called freaking The Tax Reaper. And yes, this is what you think it is. It is a webtoon about a guy who becomes a civil servant to go after people who are committing tax fraud and tax evasion and stuff or whatever like that. Because it kind of basically starts out with like him being a what's it called, a whistleblower for an executive at the company he was working at the time, and he gets kicked out of the company and kind of like ostracized from the industry he was in, and that's where he ends up going down this route or whatever. So like I said, I've only read a few chapters of it or whatever, but it was kind of a silly but it's somewhat interesting read, just because it's like, of course there is a series out there for everything, but yeah, the Tax Reaper. But anyway, back to A Man's Man. Like I said, pretty solid read, something that I recommend. So if you've already checked it out, let me know what you think. You know, as always, you can reach me everywhere on all social media platforms at Dad Needs to Talk. Or if you're watching the YouTube video of this, you know, make sure to leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. But yeah, A Man's Man gets a thumbs up from your boy Rob. And with that, I'm out. Y'all have an awesome day and week, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.